Click on subscribe, click on the bell icon to get notifications from India's smartest channel, TRS Clips. Before the CEO journey began, and I'd like to call you a multi-billion-dollar CEO today.
That's
See, I have to sell my podcast with a little bit of masala.
Okay,
So anticipate that the thumbnail might contain a
multi-billion. Okay, managing multi-billions. So that's accurate.
But you had an entrepreneurship journey before that. So what took you from consulting to starting your own firm and then being bought over by someone else?
So I always say that young people have a little bit of hunger and foolishness in them. I again try to rationalize why I did this. So I did the consultant gig and then I worked on Wall Street for a few years. Great years because I did 2006 and 7 and then I did 8, which is like most of what you see in the movies is true about Wall Street of
Like
2000.
Wolf of Wall Street?
Wolf is a little extreme, but things like The Big Short, etc. I mean, elements. I was actually trading mortgages. That was my first job on Wall Street. So very selling loans to people who had no income, no job, and no assets. They were called ninja loans at that point in time. So
Like, okay, you don't have a house, take a loan from us,
Yeah,
and then
correct.
pay it over the rest of your
देख
life.
लेना तुम बाद में देख लेना. Here, take a Ranveer. You're eligible for a $2 million loan. I know you have no income, no job, no assets, something like that. So yeah, we did that for 2-3 years.
How are Indians perceived on Wall Street?
It's very smart people. I mean, Wall Street has a ton of us.
Oh, okay.
I think globally, and this is an interesting conversation. So my dad's represented India from the 70s to, 2020 or 2015 when he retired. I think the perception of India globally has changed completely. And he said this when he retired. He's like, so he keeps telling me, he says, you market mutual funds for a living, but I sold India for a living, which is just a beautiful thing he says. But he has seen the kind of respect that he was given in the 70s, which, your US and German counterparts, I don't think thought of him very much at that point in time. But then there was this 80s phase and it wasn't a great phase. And then 90s happened and the IT boom happened. So when I moved to Nigeria in 95, kids would ask me in school, you're from India, do you go to school on elephants? And are you from the land of snake charmers? This was the perception. By the time 95, 96, 97 happened, the whole IT boom happened, we made a statement with Pokhran, remember? And that made a lot of news. There were sanctions on us at that point in time. The whole test happened. And then by the time my father retired, India had gone through and become an economic superpower. So the kind of respect he got from the German ambassador or the Japanese ambassador changed totally. And that's a reflection of Wall Street too. So I think as our economic standing has changed, our perception has changed. So perception is Indians are very, very smart, capable people.
Yeah, on a very personal, selfish level.
Yeah.
My goal in life is to change the perception of India as the creative capital of the world and the artificial intelligence capital of the world, because I do feel that in designing artificial intelligence products, there will be a huge requirement of creativity, and that's the phase of life I want to begin at 35.
So creative is an interesting one because I think we're very good jugaad artists, and I don't like the word jugaad, even though it's been associated with India. But sort of original thinking and innovation and creativity, I think we can still do a lot more. So we're very good at copying.
Yeah, while we've had people on the podcast who are not very hopeful about India's future, like people in their 40s, 50s, but I don't know whether it's the meditation-based intuition, whether it's just my gut from running YouTube channels and talking to the youth on such a macro level. I feel like we're heading into a good phase.
So if people your generation and my generation are not optimistic, then I really worry for India.
I feel we are the two generations that are optimistic. It's the ones, older than yours. You're 83 born? So
I'm
I'd say
83
the people born in the 60s and 70s, they're the pessimists.
So in fact, interestingly, this is a detour, but when I moved back, it's been 10 years since I've moved back from the US. And there's this lovely Indian thing that when you move back from the US, it's a very big deal to move back from the US. Wall Street ka career, you've left to come to India. So people always ask me this question, did you regret it? Like, till date, everyone asks me this question. Do you miss the US? And then, of course, there's the famous one, what would your salary have been in dollars if you were living in the US? Which is a totally irrelevant question. I always say, talking about optimism, that I don't regret it at all. And the reason I don't regret it is the US is such an evolved place. It's a great market. But see, it's a market where most problems have been solved. So you really have to do things at a third order to make any impact. Here, I think with what you're doing or what I'm doing, there's so many people we can cater to, and we can do basic things and solve a lot of problems. So you can make tremendous impact here, which I don't think you can make in a market like the US.
Yeah, I completely resonate with what you're saying at the age of 27. But at age 22, it was my alpha ego kicking in, saying
Yeah.
that no, I want to be a king in this country and not a second class citizen there, which may not even be true. Like, I'm sure that once you're in the US,
Yeah, you settle down. It's a country that takes you in very nicely.
yeah, they're very accepting people.
Very, very
Which
accepting.
I've learned over time.
Yeah,
but
very
back,
accepting.
back then, the ego told me that no, let's become
I want to be here.
Raja here.
Yeah.
But that brings me to my question on entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
What was that journey like starting your own business? Because I've seen that a lot of people who try transitioning from the corporate world into the business, and I'm not generalizing, but I have seen a bunch of people who can't really keep up with the world of entrepreneurship. Because, for example, in the world of corporates, if you eat a banana
Yeah.
and you want to throw the peel somewhere, there's a dustbin kept near you, you can throw it. In the world of entrepreneurship, if you eat a banana, there's no dustbin to throw it into, and you have to buy the dustbin yourself.
Yeah, I'll tell you a story about the dustbin. But no, it is a very, I mean, people keep saying the US to India transition. I think employment to entrepreneurship is a very big transition, especially when you're young. I will say I was a super arrogant, like Wall Street kid who
How old were you?
24.
Okay.
So, and 24 is not young for a startup person. It's a little young for a financial services startup person, because we are a gray hair, and we like gray hair, right? It's a business of trust.